So currently I have a group of ladies that I work with. And recently the conversation came up about men cheating. And I thought it was interesting that these women were saying how they had threatened their boyfriends or husbands that if he cheat on her again, all these things they were going to do to him. And they was convinced that this time, because this time he gets it, like he knows that if he does this, that she's going to hurt him worse than she hurt him before. And I said in the midst of the conversation, he's not thinking of you when he cheats. And they seem to be a little astonished by that. And that is the thing. A lot of times, I think women, we take ownership of things that are not ours to take ownership of. That man, any man who cheats on his wife, his spouse, his girlfriend, whoever she is, it is not her responsibility to keep him from cheating. I need you to get that. He is not cheating on you because of anything that you've done. I don't care what he says. He's not cheating on you because of what you've done. It is not because you're not pretty enough, your body is not in the right condition, that you was mean. Those are not the reasons. And they may contribute to the withdrawal in the relationship. But the reason he is cheating is because that is in him and that is his character. And you have to understand that. So you have to understand that everything that a person does in a relationship that affects you is not about you. It is about them. And when you get that, when you really get a hold of that, you learn not to one take everything so personal. And that doesn't mean, listen, ladies, I'm not saying deny your feelings, your emotions, the hurt and the pain that it causes you to be betrayed. Absolutely. It is devastating. It is mind boggling. It literally, and I'm speaking from experience, it will break your mind. Like I wish there was another way to explain it, but to be betrayed by someone that you love, someone you trust, it begins to break the way you see the world, the way you think. And for a while, maybe you can't think, you can't process, you can't quite get a grasp of reality because the reality that you may have believed you had, the safety in another person, has now been destroyed and it now makes you question everything. So it is a breaking of the mind. And I want to honor you in that space. I want you to know that I know that what that feels like. I get that you are true when you're having these feelings. But the big but I need you to get is it's not your responsibility to make him not cheat on you again. That's his responsibility. It's not your responsibility to do something so he doesn't have to go out there again. That's his responsibility. Ladies, think about this. Most people like love Beyonce, and we will all agree that she's very beautiful, she's talented, she have all the things. But yet she was with a man who cheated on her. So if it's the notion that, well, if I looked a certain way, or if I had certain things, or if I treated him a certain way, then he wouldn't cheat. You might would think that Beyonce probably was doing those things. Then you got a woman like Holly Berry, who's also considered in society this beautiful woman, and it's happened to her. So I'm sharing these examples to simply say, this is why there's nothing you can do to make a man not cheat. That's his character. That's his responsibility. Those are his demons or whatever to bear. There's a reason inside of him that he feels the need to go outside of the relationship to get validation, to be seen or to heard. And it's not necessarily because you are not validating him, that you're not doing enough. It's most likely due to his own personal emotional wounds. I call those soul wounds. There is a need inside of him, probably from the time he was a child, that he hasn't learned to communicate, that the way that he avoids this feeling, this emotion, is through other women, plain and simple. It is the same thing, it's the same need that runs a person who runs to drugs or who gets addicted to pornography or addicted to shopping. It is that urge, that need that they are trying to either hide, get away from, or relieve the energy or the hurt and the pain of the thing that is that they're trying to get away from. And the way we do that is we try to get into the other feeling of what feels good, seems good, not necessarily what is good. And so that oftentimes is why you may have men who do this and then later seem regretful. But the ladies I was talking to in my group, they were convinced, it may still be, that there's something they can do to make this man stop cheating. They had admitted that this has happened more than one time. They was willing to admit that they think the reason he cheats is because she keeps taking him back. I said, no, the reason he cheats is because of something inside of him. The reason he comes back is because you let him come back. And there's a difference. There's a distinct difference. We have to recognize that we are responsible individually. Every man, every woman is responsible for her own thoughts, their own emotions, their own behaviors. I am not responsible for your thoughts, your emotions, even about this video. There will be some people who watch this video and they will get mad with me because I may have said something that they disagree with or they don't like or they think I'm wrong, which is fine if you think I'm wrong. But I am not responsible for the emotions that I've triggered in you to make you feel that way. Meaning that then it's not my responsibility to come on the other side of that thing and do something to make you feel better. It is my responsibility to be loving, to be kind, to be gentle. And this is biblical way of thinking. I can tell the truth in love and kindness and gentleness, but I can't be responsible for how you feel about my observation of the truth, just as you are not responsible when a man does mistreat you. Now, here's what you are responsible for. This is your responsibility. You are responsible for how long you're going to allow him to mistreat you. You are responsible for how you're going to stay in the relationship. Are you willing to continue in the relationship if he doesn't change? Are you willing to stay just because he said he's going to change? What you are responsible to set boundaries. You are responsible for clearly communicating the consequence of what happens if this behavior continues. And you are responsible to commit to the consequence that you say. Those are your responsibilities. That is what you can do to help yourself. If you're going to forgive, forgive. I'm never the woman who tells a woman, leave him, he'll never change. I've been a witness. Men can change, people can change, women can change. I was able to change. My husband's been able to change. But here's what I've seen in people that change. Typically, a person who changed is because their relationship with God, higher power, higher source has changed. And the only real change happens when they encounter something greater than themselves that they want to surrender to. That's been the way I've seen change. Maybe you've seen it a different way. And so the reason I've been able to, years ago when my husband cheated on me, the reason I was able to forgive him is because he, one, did the work, meaning he went to the therapist, he went to the counselor, he found out the root cause of the need to step outside, to look for affection elsewhere. He found out for himself. He didn't do this for me. He didn't do this as a only I will stay if you do this. This was something he wanted to do for himself, because even doing that, the promise wasn't that this relationship was going to maintain, this marriage was going to maintain. But here's the part I did. I did my own work to find out, how did I draw that to myself? What other places in my life was I portraying myself? Because I understand everything is spiritual. And God is using everything to teach me something about me, not teach me just something about him. So if this betrayal came into my life, I had to say, okay, Lord, what did the betrayal come to teach me? And I found out there was areas in my own life where I was betraying myself. So that it opened a door for betrayal. But here's what happened. I did my own work, and I now learned how not to portray myself, and that when I'm consciously aware that I am doing this from a position of that I'm going against my own values. I'm going against my own, I'm getting a need met instead of holding to what is sacred to me. And with that language, I'm able to shift and change and no longer portray myself, but no longer accept betrayal in my life. So therefore, now we can communicate, my husband and I, differently, because we both did our emotional work. We continue to do our emotional work. We continue to create an environment that is safe for both of us. And we know where to go when we need additional help. Yes, that is through prayer. Yes, that is through the word, but that's also sometimes through a counselor, through a coach, through a therapist. We do the work to make sure individually we are good, we're safe, we are in a mental space that we need to be, where we're not looking outside of ourselves to get validation, significance, that needing someone else to make me feel a certain way. I know how to get there. Andre is not responsible for the way I feel. I take full responsibility and ownership so that myself, he may help me through something, I may help him through something, but ultimately we're individually responsible for what we feel. Therefore, we don't have to go outside of our relationship looking for that security and that validation. So that is my offer to you today. If you're in a situation where you don't even have a clue as to one, why you tolerate the mistreatment. It may not even be cheating in relationship, but maybe you just constantly feel like you surround yourself with people that betray you. There's a reason that is happening, and it's not just on them, it's also on you. Your work, your job is to do the work to find out what is it in me that causes me to attract to myself this continual betrayal, this mistreatment, and what's in me that make me stay. All right, that's your work. Remember that your thoughts create your decisions, and your decisions create your destiny. Bye-bye.